Well, big up, big up, big up. Welcome to Liverpool 12-Man Show. This is going to be hopefully an enjoyable show. I know that I had to push back the start time a little bit, but that's because I got the blessing to be on the catch-up show, and it was definitely one to talk about. You want to call it that? Because it was actually good. It was good. It wasn't a complete let's just throw a lot of banter and let's not talk about facts or anything like that or yada yada. It was a fun show, and I appreciate the invite, and I appreciate the hookup from KJ that got me the invite in general, and I just humbly say thank you to KJ, and also humbly say big up to the panel that actually I got the pleasure of being a part of. But I am here at live and direct with you as well for a fun show. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys caught the thumbnail, but the thumbnail was just that. It was Ekitiké vibes in Frankfurt. And now we're getting prepared to go into a storm that is known as Brentford. And then we also have to deal with the headaches of social media and the rumbles and the tumbles and the mumbles of what's going on with that. We have a pretty packed show today, but I just would say personally, truthfully, honestly, Reds, breathe it in. Breathe it in. This was what responses look like when it's married to structure. It's that simple. When it's married to structure, this is what it looks like to have a team that is able to create and produce. Liverpool ended a 4-game skid with a ruthless 5-1 victory over Frankfurt. Let's be honest. It didn't look that great, honestly, when they did score the goal on us. But I knew that I had a feeling that they would score a goal, if not two. My original prediction was 4-2. So I guess I succeeded one of our goals to them. But Ekitiké, Van Dijk, Konaté, Cody, Dom, crucially important in our attack. Other players too, who I'm going to mention, but with patterns that finally looked repeatable, we actually looked very, very clinical, very, very lethal, I would say. Slot made 5 changes. Ekitiké and Wirtz were restored to the lineup. Isak was set aside Ekitiké, which is what I've been asking for, and some in the chat have been calling for as well. They've joined my little Isak Ekitiké campaign. We still got to come up with a fun name for Ekitiké, Isak, and Wirtz. Still have to come up with a fun name for it. We'll have to think about that. Hopefully, maybe I know that armchair supporter is good at that. So maybe he can come up with a name for us, something funny and catchy. But yes, Frimpong back at the right back spot. Not a Dominic Szoboszlai at the right back spot, which is something that none of us want, or not none of us, but some of us, a good number of us, did not want to see, and I was happy not to see that. Salah got, unfortunately for him, he got put on the bench. I know that it was unfortunate, and I've been saying it again. He is a unfortunate casualty to a 4-4-2 in my perception of what I would like to see be a 4-4-2. So unfortunately, that's what it was. In Frankfurt, he was shown the bench. But Frankfurt, like I said, started like they've lived all season: high chaos, high risk. But once we matched their pace with purpose, the match flipped quickly in our favor. We did what we had. We did what we hadn't done, I should say, and hadn't done enough lately, more importantly, and that is punish our opponents, punish the moments that we're given. I want to say big up to those that have stood by me on my shouts for Robbo to get a start, for him to get playing time. Big up to everyone that has stood by me and shouted for Robbo to get a start. Robbo's vertical to Ekitiké was ice cold. And I mean, it wasn't an Ekitiké just absolutely, he should have done when he scored that goal, because his finish was straight burr. It was straight burr. Oh my goodness. Then the set piece avalanche. If you want to talk about the burr, I want to bring some coldness. Set piece avalanche. 2 near post hammers from our center backs. Look, I've said it, and I'll say it again. You can't beat them, join them. We've all been asking for more consistency of our corners. We finally got that. So shout out to Mr. Briggs for hopefully bringing that about in yesterday's performance. But after the break, I want to also give a shout out to my number 7, who plays number 10 for us, but also my number 7. So it's a heavy shirt to wear. It's a heavy kit to wear. But Wirtz threaded the game together. 1 assist to Cody, 1 layoff to Dom for an absolute blast, like a rocket of a shot. It wasn't flawless. Let's not get that. I'm not going to get that, elated and over the moon about it. It wasn't flawless because obviously we got scored on, and there are parts that we could have performed better here or there. But it was coherent, and that's what's been missing. It had an semblance of some reason, rhyme and reason. You could see a pattern. You could see some type of an identity. And that's what it really, really became. That's what it really, really became. Big up Red Armchair supporter. I'm a little tongue-tied today. Yeah, I just put it out there. I don't know if you heard me or not, but we got to come up with a name. We got to come up with a cool name for obviously for Salah and Bobby and Mane. It was the Red Arrows, the 3 Red Arrows. I'd like to see us come up with some type of fun name for Isak, Ekitiké, and Wirtz. Hopefully we can figure something out that kind of rolls off the tongue. But yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Pre-assists. The pre-assist, yes. Pre-assist versus United, 2 assists yesterday. Should have had a goal if Salah passed. Yeah, I spoke about that earlier on the show I was just on. He's gradually improving. Okay. I think that and I'll say this to Trudon, I'll say this to those in the chat that aren't necessarily fully convinced from Florian Wirtz, because I know some of the pushback I got, and I was in enemy territory, I guess you could say, because it's an Arsenal hosted channel that I was on, and but they're cordial, by the way, as well, which is super, super dope. But the chat did push back when I was trying to give some props to Wirtz. And they were saying, oh, you're getting so hyped over one game. It's only one game. And my quick response to that was this. I get that you might say, I get that you might think that, oh, well, Wirtz is, I get that there's, you could say something about the Wirtz's ability to get results. And I get that you could say that, well, Wirtz he finally he had an assist in the Community Shield, but other than that, he hasn't produced anything really for us, and the yada yada yada. But then again, there are people that will bring up the fact that he's one of the leading chance creators in the Premier League. And my pushback was simply that we have a completely different narrative or a conversation being pushed, especially a narrative being pushed, if the components around him had scored on their opportunities. If sometimes he could have had 1 or 2 goals at least from just being tap-ins practically, if he just gets an assist. So I can't say that Wirtz has been the best player in the league, not even close. But what I can say is that he's not the worst player. And what I will say is that he's not nearly the level of what people are attributing to him to. And that is a player that is working. You do see the semblance of knowing, of knowing how to create for his teammates. He's learning the system, learning their tendencies as well, coming into more of a focus or more of a same orbit with his teammates as well. And it's important that he does. I made this comment. I'm going to stick by it. Florian Wirtz will be instrumental in winning us a Champions League. I will say it again. Florian Wirtz will be instrumental in winning us a Champions League. Now, how he adapts to the Premier League, that's still a work in progress. I'm not disputing that at all. Still a work in progress. But I'd be as bold as I was, or I was bold enough to say it in enemy territory there, and I got plenty of pushback when I did. But Florian Wirtz's game is suited to win us a Champions League. It is a component that reminds me of the missing component of a Thiago for me, in that he is a maestro of the pitch. He is someone that can orchestrate, be a link man or actual assist provider. He could be the as Trudon said earlier, he could be the assist to the assist, or he could be the actual assist. And I think Florian Wirtz is that guy. And I think truthfully, the Champions League, Europe at least, European competitions suit his game style, suit him more than the Premier League currently. And that's why I believe that he will be more of an asset for us in the Champions League than he will in the Premier League until he gets, up to speed in the Premier League. And I'd love to hear your own opinions on that, but that's my opinion. That's certainly my opinion. And like I said, when he was brought here, more so than not, I started to see that more and more and more. I wanted to see how he would play in the Premier League, because I know Premier League is certainly a more aggressive, more physical league than the Bundesliga. But I also knew that we're not just playing in one competition, we're playing in other competitions, which is important. Let's see what we're saying. Red Armchair Supporter says he agrees. I thought he really grew into the game and by the end was balling out. The Wirtz in the second half yesterday, he could watch all day long. Trudon is saying he said when we signed him that he would thrive in the Champions League because he has more time and space in Europe. Spot on, Trudon. If the ball's out versus Real Madrid, then if he balls out versus Real Madrid, then I'll start to believe that he could be pivotal in us winning it. Okay. I can understand that, holding off on making it, it be there. He's talking about Luis Garcia. Was like that. He struggled in the league initially, but was great for us in Europe in that. Yeah, he was. He was instrumental in that year for us to get as deep as we did to find our way to Istanbul. He was very instrumental in that. And that's what I was trying to explain. Because like as soon as I said something about Wirtz, and the creations or his abilities and talents, they're like, oh, we're not questioning his talent. We're just questioning if that can, if that's going to transpose to be something that will work for Liverpool. And I'm like, it's not a matter of, I think we've seen him actually contribute. It's just unfortunately the components around him, meaning the players that he's creating the chances for, just have not been clinical enough to finish just yet this year. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that, we're having a completely different conversation if that was the case. If that was the case, for sure. Well, let me talk about this. Let me talk about Slot's press conference. And I'll give you some keynotes. I guess the keynote to Slot's message was adjust, punish, control. Sorry, there's like something. There's a landscaping crew out front there going crazy with cutting something. But hopefully you didn't hear that. But Slot called it. We've created chances in recent weeks. Much of what I've said earlier, we've created chances in recent weeks. Tonight we converted. That was like the major point. We have created chances in the beginning of this season, this campaign, but we haven't been converting those chances. And that's what's been frustrating. Tonight we converted, or last night we converted, and we controlled the tempo. We controlled the effort of going forward and what was going to be dictated onto the pitch. I think that the one thing that I was so happy to see, and it's why I'm saying if you can't beat them, join them. And that is the double set piece scores that we got, the double set piece that we scored on. That made something of a difference. I know that's frustrating to see set piece or Stoke FC hold on to their hold on to their form simply from set pieces. However, you have to give them credit for credit's due. They're scoring on set pieces. It's a part of the game. It's not like I can't really hate on them for the fact that they're scoring at a portion of their game that needs to be done. I think that what was troubling to me was that, and what I would prefer to rely on, is our run of play, our open run of play. That's primarily where I want to see us have control. What I just said, the control, to have the ability to convert and to punish our opponents. If it doesn't include or mean including set pieces, then you're not really fully thinking about everything, because you need those portions in the game. You need to be able to defend against set pieces, because the league has definitely transitioned to a place where more teams than not know that they can't create on open play the way that we do, or should be doing at least. And they'll rely more heavily on set pieces, long throw-ins, corners, as being the leg up to get some type of results, some type of goals for them. Big up Redbird. Big up Redbird. Hope that everything's going well with your family. I hope that you've got everything sorted out, by the way. And of course, we're all here for you and always wishing you the best, for sure. But what I was trying to say is, shout out to KJ again. KJ, the plug, man. He's the plug that's got knows how to get into those into some of those difficult places to go, and that's big up KJ. Hopefully more opportunities for myself and for him start to open up for us. Now that KJ's got a channel, by the way, please do go and subscribe to KJ's channel, by the way. Big up. Big up the Taliban, Liverpool. Big up Rasta Crab. Big up. But what I was trying to get at is this: is that, like, yeah, if you can't beat them, join them. Rather than complain about Arsenal scoring on corners and being lethal from corners, why can't we be lethal from corners? Why can't we be more clinical when it comes to defending corners? And that's what I would like to see a return of focus and emphasis on this season as well. Because I think that you'll see we have the potential, and you'll see those things start to like come into shape the way they did against Frankfurt. Hold on one second. I don't know why. For some reason, I don't know why KJ. I think KJ hasn't. I think some of the things. I'll put KJ. I'm going to put KJ's channel in. Give me 1 second. I'm going to find KJ's channel. And I'll put it in. Make sure we get a shout out to KJ. Content coming soon. He's actually dropped One Piece too, by the way. He has dropped One Piece already. So here is KJ's. Let's grab myself. Here is KJ's channel, by the way. That is KJ's channel. So definitely go and subscribe. Oh man. So let me see. Frankfurt got one of the worst defenses in Europe. So that's the reason why you're not hyping it. Yeah, but they're also one of the best. They're one of the highest scoring teams in Europe as well. So I know that it's difficult to super hype this team up because they're not the greatest defensively. I get that, but then again, taking away their ability to control the tempo, to counter. They got one counter off on us. I get that, but for long portions of the game, nothing more than that really evolved. Being able to get our offense really rocking and rolling and the cogs grinding and moving forward. I think that was one of the more important things. That's what I was trying to get across. And look, I think that one thing, you can say what you want, but Frankfurt does know how to play offense. They do know how to play. Maybe not the greatest defensively, but offensively they are good. One of the better teams in Germany. And what I was really, really happy to see is, although Frankfurt kept it on the deck, we finally saw our team mount a cohesive press. Defense, to me, is that same philosophy that Klopp said. It starts with the press. It starts with the press. And that is where you have to orchestrate any bit of a surgency when it comes to having a defense. You want to have the best press. The best defense is a press or a counter press, because then you don't have to rely on your defenders. You don't have to rely on your midfield or likes being having to defend or try to recover or do any of those things. If you're able to counter press a team, you're taking away their ability to move forward, and thus putting them on the back heels. And that was huge. And I like the fact that we brought in Chiesa, because Chiesa was like, it was one thing that we were pressing well towards the end of the first half, but then bringing in Chiesa, I thought was a phenomenal move, because Chiesa brings the urgency. And I mean, that guy is running as if he is trying to find a way into that starting lineup. And that makes a difference. Huge difference. Big up Nems out. Nems, big up, big up. Nems was on the show earlier with me. Big up. Or not on the show, but was in the chat earlier. Big up, big up. But I can't stress that enough, though. That's the real it's not just chasing punts, or chasing down long balls. It's about being able to put pressure on them and keeping the ball in their portion of the pitch. And then we can talk about the double set piece. That swing mattered, by the way. That set piece swing, when after the equalizer, was one thing. That put a wake-up call in everyone. But when we got that header from our captain, I was like, yo, we are here to play. That's just the captain's goal. And then when he saw Ibu step up and give us something, I was like, whoa, that players only meeting must have had some conversations. It must have included some conversations. Because now all of a sudden it's 3-1. You can manage the tempo better. You can, rather than have to chase and try to manufacture miracles. Major, major difference. And on the injuries, let me say this. On the injuries, Frimpong's hamstring, Isak's groin, fine margins when players skip a real preseason. I'm now being told by some, oh, well, you knew Isak was going to have issues. You knew Isak was injury prone. You knew this and you knew this. It's still worth it. He's still worth it. And I'll park this on Isak. The blessing in disguise. I'm going to say this because I've heard people say this, and I would love to hear your opinions in the chat about when you hear this kind of commentary being out there. But I've heard pundits. I was watching Sky Sports, and I heard this pundit, or at least he was the host of a show, and he was asking the pundit his opinion, and he was saying, well, the Isak injury, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. And I'm like, what the? Like, what are you talking about? That's just some lazy punditry, man. Having an injury to a player is never a blessing in disguise. It's never a silver lining in having a player come up lame. I'm not saying that they're going as far as to saying they're hoping or wanting to see injuries, but what I am saying is Ekitiké and Isak playing together is the move. Our ceiling is Isak and Ekitiké, not either or. It's with them both in the lineup. Depth is a feature, not a bug. And that's something where when I hear that comment, I'm like, that's some lazy commentary, man. No, I don't want it. No, it's no blessing in disguise. No, I don't want it to be the only, oh, well, yeah, Ekitiké gets to play now because Isak's injured. I don't want that at all. I want to see Isak and Ekitiké on the pitch together. And if not together, I want to see either Ekitiké playing and Isak backing him up or vice versa. And that's why I think it's really low level commentary when someone says something like that. Really low commentary. But all right, but anyways, I'm thinking oh, excuse me. Lee is possibly going to join us soon. Still waiting on him. Have some questions that I was going to pose to some of the topics that we're talking about, but I'm just going to go on to. I'll just move on to this because the stats back the facts, people. They do. I know people don't. Some aren't really into the stats. I get that. But our control of the ball was reclaimed yesterday. I get that someone's going to say this. I know Crab and others might say, "Oh, well, Frankfurt aren't that good," or it's only Frankfurt. You know, it's a different premise when you get into Champions League versus the Premier League. I get that. But 64 to 65% possession is what we controlled yesterday. We had an XG of 3.21. They had an XG of 0.23. We had 11. Let me get this. Let's go straight and ready for this one. 11 big chances were created yesterday. 11 big chances. When's the last time you remember Liverpool under Arne Slot having 11 big chances created? We had 14 shots on target. That's not a sugar high. That's territorial suffocation. I saw a stat, and it was something I was like, at first I was like, there's something I like to do, and that is I like to look at the number of corners. It sounds weird, but that's one of the stats I like to look at and keep an eye on. And corners to me symbolize this reason. When it comes to corners, a team that has a large number of corners, chances are it means that you're in their final third. You're in your opposition's final third, and you're pressing for a result. You're pressing for a goal. And you tend to see teams that have the higher corner number be teams that usually get better results, better final results at least. We had 7 corners by halftime. 7 corners by halftime. 10 total. 10 in total. I saw the stat come up and I was like, we had 10 corner kicks in this game. That's repeatable pressure. That's putting team to the back foot and them not having any other release or reserve. That's goalkeepers, trying to save shots, or that's defenders not having other option other than to force the ball out of bounds for a corner. We had a pass accuracy gap of 92% to 82%. Speaks composure under the first pressure. There was a stat out there, and I'd have to look. Let me pull up what his numbers real quick for you, because there was a stat. He set a record, or I think he either set or he's like the second player to do this for Liverpool, at least, as well, if not in Europe. But there was this stat out there on Curtis Jones, which was phenomenal. Curtis Jones had an absolutely incredible game. To all you Curtis Jones haters out there, shame on you. Shame on you. When it came to Curtis Jones, Curtis Jones had 127 passes. 127 passes. And I get what Crab said. I'll address what you said, Crab. No problem. No problem. But Curtis Jones had 127 passes. He connected on 122 of them. Someone might be like, oh, but it's just, it's just passes in our half, or it's passes that don't really matter. He had 98 passes in the opposition's half. 98 passes in the opposition's half. And he connected on 94 of them. 94 out of 98. That's exceptional, man. That's exceptional. That's ridiculous. That is someone that's showing up to play. Someone that I have been saying deserves more playing time than he's actually getting. And again, I know there are going to be people out there saying, but it's Frankfurt. I was just saw Crab. I'm not calling Crab out for it, but but it's Frankfurt. He's saying, he says, it's Frankfurt. Well, if you're hyping this too much, in his opinion, he says Burnley defended better than Frankfurt. But the difference is that Burnley sets up in a low block and takes not only puts the what was that thing called? I forget what it was called. It used to be back in the day, you take it's like this kind of like U-lock type thing where they would you put in the steering wheel so that you couldn't, it was like an anti-stealing thing for your car. Burnley not only does that, they take the lug nuts out, they take the tires off, they not only park the bus, they plant the bus. They plant the bus. And that's what I'm trying to get across, is that it's not that they're two different teams. Frankfurt wants to play. Frankfurt's not going to sit back and just Frankfurt wants to go forward. I'm saying Frankfurt did not play to get a draw. Because you know why I can tell you that honestly? After Frankfurt scored their first goal, for instance, if they were playing for a draw, or if they were playing for some type of result, what you would have seen Frankfurt do is convert to a low block. They got their goal. They got their opening goal. And what you would have seen Frankfurt do, if they're only their only conquest was to get a goal and then just lock it down. That's what Frankfurt would have done if they were just looking for if they were going to play like Burnley. Because that's what Burnley would have done. And they would have made it even harder for us to try to score on them if we hadn't scored on them so late. But Frankfurt kept wanting to try to go forward. They just weren't able to, because we dictated possession. We dictated the tone. And that's where it is. All right. You are not getting an invite to the Frankfurt party, to the Frankfurt supporter club party, I'm sure, Mr. Crab. But yes, that's my point. Getting deeper into what I was saying. I can't. I think Curtis Jones had an amazing player, had an amazing day. I think Szoboszlai had a major day. It was yesterday's performances by some of these players was so exceptional that I'm not even going to do a man of the match. I'm going to do it like I know hockey's played throughout the entire world, so you might know this, but I'm going to do what they do in the NHL. I'm going to give out 3 stars. I'm going to give out 3 stars in this game. So we'll get into that. Shout out to Red Armchair supporters telling Crab, what's the deal? Frankfurt did beat Galatasaray. They beat them 5-1. I think they beat Galatasaray 5-1. Let me check. Let me double check for you. As much as Frankfurt's poor, they beat Galatasaray 5-1. They beat Galatasaray 5-1. So, and I get it. I'm not saying that Frankfurt is some juggernaut, but I mean, the last 4 games they've played some very difficult opponents, and that's the reason why maybe we're saying that. We're going to get into that, Crab. We're going to definitely get into that. I want to hear what people think about that. Definitely hear what people think. Before I do it, I'm going to skip the play. I'm going to wait to see if when Lee does join us, or maybe I do get another panelist. I'll wait to do my player ratings, and I'll just get into what I heard Virgil say, man. And that is this. Virgil van Dijk said that he was going to hold players accountable. And Virgil van Dijk held a players' huddle after the United game. It wasn't a crisis meeting, but what he referenced it as was a standards meeting. A reaffirmation of knowing what Liverpool's standards of play and conduct is. Last night looked like a team that listened, that heard what the captain had to say. I'd say 99% of the team at least heard what he had to say. I'll say it like that. Because I was going to say no sulking, but there was some sulking on the pitch. But for others, there was no shortcuts. There was just solutions. Leaders lead twice, once with their words, and then with their actions. And he did both. I think that it was phenomenal what we got to see from Virgil van Dijk after holding, like I said, that meeting with the team, a players only meeting, by the way, too, because it was something I brought up that I thought was important, because I honestly thought that, and again, I don't want to go too far with this because I know I do sometimes backstage with some of my football romanticism, but one of the difference is with this coach and our former coach is that this coach doesn't necessarily look like the type that is going to like give you a hug and everything's going to feel better type situation. He's not going to be someone that kind of has like this real, like, heart to heart with you and you're going to feel better after giving out what it is that's troubling you. Salah being benched was not an easy decision. And I got asked this question, and this is what I would suggest those in the chat use this logic when someone poses this type of a scenario towards you. And that is this. I got asked the question of, well, yesterday, Liverpool looked better. Liverpool looked more fluid. Liverpool just looked more lethal without Salah in the lineup. You need to bench him. Or do you continue to bench him? And I responded, and it was off a response because I had said that this coach is going to probably want to figure out a way to get Salah implemented into this lineup. And someone could say, oh, well, that era's gone, or Salah is washed, or all these different things. And my honest response was, when you hear someone say, well, this team played so much better without Salah in it yesterday, this team also didn't have Gravenberch in it yesterday. And I can honestly attest that I think that Gravenberch, maybe other than Dominic Szoboszlai, and I think Kies is like a close third. I think Gravenberch is probably second. Have been the most informed players for our team. And I'm sure someone's going to say Ekitiké. Ekitiké could be a shout too. But Gravenberch wasn't a part of our midfield. And our midfield looked good. It looked like it knew what it was doing. Curtis Jones was on point. Dominic Szoboszlai was on point. Florian Wirtz was on point. But does that attest that, Gravenberch shouldn't start, or Gravenberch doesn't need to play, or we don't have to figure out a way to get Gravenberch back into the mix? I wouldn't go that far. And I would use the same logic to say that I get that Salah is off the measure of what his normal standards are. But we need to figure out a way to get him back to those standards, because it's not as though he's hit some cliff. And I think that one way or another, he's going to find it. Now, I don't know if that is going to come against Brentford or not. I personally think that he's going to start against Brentford. Tell me in the chat. Do you think that Mohamed Salah is going to start against Brentford? You can put a yes or a no. Put a Y or an N, doesn't matter. But I think he'll start against Brentford. And I'm going to ask this to the chat as well. We saw our coach go from the normal 4-2-3-1 shape to more of a 4-2-4 at times, but more so 4-4-2 when defending and when keeping our at-rest shape. Our build-up shape was more of a 4-4-2 than a 4-2-4. It's something, again, that I said. I had episodes whiles back now where I was talking about I would love to see a 4-2-4 diamond. We didn't get to see that part, but still 4-2-4 diamond, 4-4-2 diamond. If we're not going to see a 4-4-2 diamond, I still want to see something that can utilize a 4-4-2 and that we can push into a 4-2-4 when we want to press, and we want to push the envelope in trying to put pressure on our opposition. It's something that I think is going to happen with Salah starting, but is Salah going to take the place of Isak in that front two? Do you go as far as to put Isak into that front two? I personally don't. I'm not saying that you can't, but I wouldn't. What do you see? Big up, Lee. By the way, big up, Lee. How are you making out today?
Hey, good. Cheered up with the results. Feel much better after that result.
Yeah,
I think we all do, don't we?
Trust, yes. Do you think that we're going to go back to we're going to go back to the same shape that we've been, used to seeing, which is that 4-2-3-1 against Brentford? Or do we keep the 4-4-2 shape that we displayed in Frankfurt?
I think we more than likely go back to the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
Because it's Premier League. We were able to do that against Frankfurt. I don't know if we'd be able to against Brentford. It's away from home as well, isn't it? So They'll give us a test, but we should have enough to beat them. I just hope we can do that, and get back-to-back wins. Because we can't really afford to fall further behind, can we? And hopefully we won't. I mean, we've got that game, then we got Villa in the next league game after it, haven't we? Got Crystal Palace sandwiched between in the Carabao Cup. Be interesting to see what sort of team he goes with in the Carabao Cup, whether he rests players or not. I mean, injuries are. It sounds like Isak is going to be out for a number of games now.
I'm hoping he's not, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's only like a couple of games or one if possible. Frimpong sounds like he's going to be out for a few weeks, doesn't he?
Frimpong, different story. I think that's more of a sure that he's going to be out for. The hamstring thing the groin is just as vulnerable for missing a lot of games as the hamstring is. But
he has a really good injury record, didn't he? And he's had 2 now for us this season.
Yeah. It's troubling. That's concerning. Is that not concerning to you?
It is a bit, yeah. Especially because we know we can't always count on Bradley. He seems to go out injured fairly often, so. We are not struggling, but we're being tested, aren't we, with injuries?
Yeah.
The Leone one made things difficult. Just hopefully Gravenberch is fit for the weekend because we definitely need him. We'll be up against Henderson, won't we? They've got Henderson, haven't they now?
Well, they've got 4 former Liverpool players, I think. 3 or 4.
Vandenberg, Callagher, Henderson, and Carvalho.
Yeah.
It's Carvalho's face, isn't it? Fabio, that's it. Fabio Carvalho.
Yep.
Yeah. We need to beat them, though, don't we? I think we can. I think we can beat them. Of course we can, but what I'm saying is I think we probably will.
No. I think it's spot on, though.
It's the new Brazilian fella for them, Thiago, scoring the goals, isn't he? I think he's got 4 or something.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's got a couple of different. He just scored in their last game. He scored as well. Yeah,
I have to watch him.
Yeah, but I was just saying how Van Dijk held a players huddle, if you want to call it that, or players meeting, if you want to call it that too. And I also wanted to talk about so I asked the chat. There was a resounding yes being the answer, given that Mohamed Salah will start against Brentford. I'm going to say that he definitely I think he definitely will start as well. But Salah bench, Liverpool thrived. Those 2 factors can coexist without hysteria, I think. He's a legend and still a weapon. But last night he showed selection is about form and fitness, and even confidence. I'd say more so than that. So I think he's fit.
Yeah,
Got confidence.
last night was the first time in a long time that he's been dropped for a big game, and nobody's undroppable. He's been such a fantastic player for us. As long as you don't get hysterical about him not scoring, because he will score a game for us and make assists. Hopefully before AFCON, but we just need this upturn in form, and then hopefully that will come right as we start to play better, and he'll score goals again.
Look, the optics in the tunnel, the profile tweaks, they're unhelpful though. Those, let's be honest, they're unhelpful. I took if you haven't seen his Twitter, basically it's him and his two daughters, at the beach or something like that. And he's taken down, apparently he has taken away he's unfollowed Liverpool. Apparently that's what's been said, that he unfollowed Liverpool. Now, you changing your profile picture, go have at it. That's cool. But you unfollowing the club you play for, okay, that's maybe you trying to send a message. And I think the best response would have been save it for the pitch. I saw it in his body language coming when he was called on late to get into that game. You could tell he wasn't really that bothered. The couple of chances that he had in the game looked just as wretched as he has as the other chances in the Chelsea game and the others as well. I think Slot was right to choose the collective over the comfort of having Salah be happy to be in the starting lineup. But I just didn't understand why this is going on now for Salah. This is the reason why I got a lot of pushback when I said that when we were trying to choose our captain, and I said Virgil van Dijk is my captain. I said that he was my captain even when we had Henderson, to be honest with you. All due respect. But that was when Henderson was starting to act kind of brand new, I guess you could call it. He was demanding playing minutes simply because he's captain, and he thought he should start every game, and those occurrences were happening. And we went on a little bit of a lengthy losing streak under Klopp, and I remember Van Dijk was our captain when we broke that losing streak. And it was almost as if Henderson probably could have even started that game. I think he was on the bench for that game, but he wasn't the captain for that game. Virgil van Dijk was. And we ended up winning that game. And I was like, it was almost getting to the point where, I don't know, maybe he was a little hesitant to not be getting the results that we were needed. It's difficult because whenever you're the captain, the first finger that's pointed is normally at you, So seeing the point of what I'm trying to bring up is it's one of the reasons why I didn't think Salah would be a good captain for our team. You can't have antics like this. You can't sulk on the sidelines. You can't do things that are going to make bigger headlines off the pitch than you do on the pitch. I'm not saying that Salah is not a leader, not at all. But what I am trying to get across is you cannot do these things if you are going to be a leader, especially for Liverpool Football Club. And that's the concern I have, is that this has become incredibly petty in my eyes. We get that you're going through a bad patch. There's plenty of us that have been sticking by you, have been, I wouldn't go as far as to make any excuses for you, but, have been certainly holding faith that you'll figure things out, that, that your confidence is going to return. I think there's still most of us that are still in that camp. But you cannot go down this line, Salah, where you're going to become more of this. I'm not playing well, so now I'm gonna become the headline.
All players, have their form fluctuates. So that's what you got to remember. Yeah, he's been pretty poor in a few games, but I don't see it as being the end of him. I think that's being a bit hysterical over it. But there will be questions asked in the summer. They'll look at his numbers probably, and if he's still wanted for a big fee, maybe in Saudi, do you think about letting him go and bringing Elisa in? We'll see anyway. But yeah, it's not like he's finished. He just needs to get on the end of a couple of things, maybe get a couple of assists. But I mean, there isn't that long until he goes to AFCON now. It starts earlier this year, doesn't it? There's about 4 weeks, is it until he goes. But it'd be interesting to see what we do when he goes. I think Chiesa would probably be the best fit, wouldn't he? Now, Frimpong's injured, isn't he? So Chiesa would probably be his main rival for that spot on the right. Because Ekitiké, he's going to have to play in the middle if Isak's injured, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. It's a question. I just think I've been saying that this was unfortunately something that was going to have to be addressed at some point at some time. Not because I'm saying that Salah is done, not that he's dusted in any means. I still think he's a phenomenal talent and force and legend and everything. All the things wrapped up in one. But for it to work in a 4-4, for my 4-4-2 suggestion to work, it doesn't incorporate two wingers. It doesn't incorporate you having a single striker and two wingers. So will there be times that we do have that occasion? Absolutely. I tried to explain it on Ketch's show, and that was 4-4-2 should be our base formation. However, 4-2-3-1 should be a version of our formation. Should be something that we can go against certain oppositions, just like you said. For whatever reason that you're basing it on, against Brentford, maybe a 4-2-3-1 is going to work better than a 4-4-2, and I'm cool with that. And that's when you do bring in your Codys, and that's when you do bring in your Mohamed Salahs. But you got to having that versatility is essential, and if not, it's an absolutely incredible asset to have. Shout out to Hylor, big up Hylor. But yeah, I just think accountability without anarchy is something that I want to have. I don't want to see Salah bring us to the point where he becomes that player that is making the locker room unhospitable. I don't want to see that happen. And I'm not saying he's going to or has, but I'm saying I don't want to see that happen. And eventually, why I'm saying that is because these kinds of actions, we'll have journalists asking questions to other players and making it extremely awkward. You're trying to talk about the game, and all of a sudden you're getting questions about, is Salah happy in the locker room? Or is Salah doing this? Or is Salah doing that? You don't have to deal with those questions. Identity and data, from drifting to directed, okay? And what I mean by that is recent data said we'd slipped from elite progression to mid-table meandering, I should say. That's how you pronounce it. Trent's absence. Robbo finally rotated. I already made shout out to those of us that have been on Team Robbo. New fullbacks, more receivers for the creators, more receivers than creators, I should say. Tonight was a correction. Wirtz as the connective tissue in the half space, Jones as the stabilizer, Szoboszlai as the vertical passer, Robbo back to shift the block, making a little bit more cohesion in that back line. The up back through returned. So did the 3-2-5 occasionally. You know, we saw occasions when there was like basically five forwards or five players in that forward line, pushing forward at least, you know, with two in the midfield and three in the back. But it created some real depth. We had a disciplined counter press, and it made a difference. A real difference. Is that identity portable to Brentford's chaos, do you think, Lee? Can we bring the chaos that we took to Frankfurt to Brentford?
Yeah, we can score goals against them, I think. It's yet another back three, isn't it? So we can score goals against them, yeah.
But do you think it's maintainable? That kind of like progressive, forward-leaning press that we're trying to press on Frankfurt. Do you think Brentford's going to allow for that, or are they going to park the bus?
No, I don't think they'll park the bus because of the run we're on in the league. They'll try and get at us, but we've got to be ready for it, and use their game against them, wait for them to try and attack us and then hit them on the counter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was going to say Brentford. When it comes to Brentford, my lean is to 80% continuity. I'm looking for us to keep the 4-2-2-2. Maybe, occasionally see us do a 3-2-5 hybrid off of that, but more so do a 4-2-2-2 and then occasionally vibrate into a 4-2-3-1 if necessary. Because I think unfortunately without Isak there, it's going to be very difficult to do the whole 4-2-2-2. I think what might happen is you might see Cody be pressed up into that front two with Ekitiké. It's a possibility at least. Chiesa could be an asset that you put there maybe. We saw that in the second half as well. Salah would be a tactical choice. He's not an inevitability, I guess, but maybe he is. I do think Salah is going to get chosen.
If Egypt go all the way to the final, he'll miss 6 games, so we will have to prepare for his absence. Starting earlier, obviously, this season, isn't it? Like a good bit earlier after.
Yeah.
Because in the past, he's missed as little as 2 games. The least he could miss here is 3 games. Yeah. But if he goes to the final, it'd be 6. So we'll have to get used to the idea of not having him pretty soon. But until go on.
What's your midfield then? What's your midfield before we even think about missing out on him in the front line?
Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz. Okay. Szoboszlai played well against Frankfurt. Gravenberch should be back. Wirtz was very good as well, obviously. So have them 3 together.
I think it's a shame. I think I can understand what you've just said, but all the same, I think that there is a player that deserves to start, and that player is the Scouser in the team.
Jesus. He does actually. He did enough really to keep the shirt on his back, but I'm not sure whether when Gravenberch comes back, it'd be him or Szoboszlai. I think Szoboszlai keep his place, and I don't think Wirtz is going to be dropped. So I think Curtis will make way for Gravenberch myself. But I can see what you're saying. He did his cause no harm. Curtis with his display. I think he's more likely to be benched than Szoboszlai is at the moment. Szoboszlai's playing really well, isn't he? The goal was just yet another, example of what he can give us. I love that goal. My favourite goal was the first one. It was on the counter, won it like Robbo, just 3 touches from Ekitiké. One to get hold of it, one to control it, get away from the defender, another one to bury it. It was just beautiful to watch. But Sobo's goal was lovely as well. Just a different type of lovely.
Even though Gravenberch should be ready for Brentford, I'm gonna go as far as to say I would keep the same midfield we had before, simply because I don't want to press the envelope with Gravenberch. I'd rather give him that extra couple of days to rehab the ankle. If he maybe get 15 minutes in the Brentford game or something like that, just to test the ankle out. But but I don't want to have to sit there and say to myself, I'm going to think to rely on Gravenberch for another 90 or for a full 90 in this game, because I think you got to look at it sometimes at a team and say you want to look at every player should be seen as a possibility of going 90 minutes. I know that not every player is going to give you 90 minutes. I know not every player is going to be allowed to give you 90 minutes, whether the medical staff says maybe the minutes are too much, or or maybe the player isn't medically clear to do more than this amount of minutes or that amount of minutes. But what I mean by that is more times than not, you're going to look at your squad and say, I want to be able to have the option of playing every player 90 minutes, because you never know who you might have to sub off. I'm sure that originally Frimpong wasn't looked at being subbed off in the first 15 minutes or whatever it was in the game, or however 15, 20 minutes of the game. That makes a difference, because now all of a sudden you rested Bradley for a reason, but now you got to play Bradley for either move Dominic to the right back or play Bradley. So my point is, you probably going to look, or probably the most likely thing is you look at every player and say, I want to get 90 minutes out of every player, but I understand that there's going to be certain players that are going to be more likely to be subbed out, simply because you're looking
Bradley was unlucky with that shot he cracked that got tipped onto the post, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It's a good shot, that.
Yeah. I think obviously, how about this? Does Robbo keep the shirt then?
Oh, definitely, mate. Robbo was one of the highlights. I think he really, he had a good game, Robbo. Thought he was about one of the bonuses of the night. Definitely keep him in the side for the Brentford game. Not against Kerkez. I don't think Kerkez is a flop or is not going to be a good player for us. I just think at the moment Robbo is the better choice for a few games. See what he can produce, Robbo. See what he's like physically after starting 2 games. If he's too much for him, then bring Kerkez back in. But I'd like to see Robbo start, definitely.
I'll ask you a fun question. Who's your first name on the team sheet after the Frankfurt matchup? Who would be your first name on the team sheet?
Wirtz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Old. Okay. I'll ask the chat. You can tell me who you think. There's that saying, it's just basically, the emphasis is who you think is the most important player on the pitch for you currently right now, or who's the most undroppable, or however you want to reference it. So who is the first name on the team sheet for you after the Frankfurt game? I see Red Armchair Supporter says Ekitiké, which is a solid shout. Super solid shout, too. Yeah. Or Dom. I was just wondering. Ekitiké.
Yeah, there's a few.
I mean, there's a few players after that game. There's a few players that you could make a shout for as being the first name on your team sheet. Again, I don't think we will see it because there's only one guy that I know who rates Curtis Jones more than me, and I don't know if he's watching the show or not. So I don't think that you can make an argument Curtis Jones should be that name. You can make an argument that Chiesa could be that name. You could make the argument. Let me bring my guy into full effect here. You could make the argument that this guy right here. I'll move this way. This guy right here. You can make the argument that he could be first on that team sheet.
Scoring goals.
Getting involved.
Yeah.
I get that he doesn't bring.
Cozy.
Say again?
He did well, Cozy. He had a good game, of course.
I thought he had an excellent game. I think he's had an excellent game. And goals are currency, as I'm often told. And he's one of the few people on this team that has consistently been bringing it, other than Ekitiké. Tell me different.
Would you a clean sheet by my estimation? I'd love us to get one at Brentford.
That'd be good.
But
yeah, that'd be good.
Really good, yeah, really good.
So the answers that I got were Ekitiké. Hyler says Dom. Okay. That's the first name on your team sheet. Okay. I don't think that he should start. I think Gravenberch, even if he is ready, if Gravenberch is ready, then that's fantastic. I just don't want to. I don't want to chance pressing the envelope when you don't have to. Basically, we've seen the midfield work without him in it. Not saying that's direction forward, but what I am saying is that I rather see him recuperate that ankle completely before testing it again. Well, from spark to streak, that's what we're talking about because that's the fixtures check. We do have a fixtures check coming up, but actually, you know what? Since you're with me, will you do the pleasure of doing our player ratings? Will you do some player ratings with me? Knock this out. Knock it out. All right. Let me get it down. All right. We'll just go through this as quickly as possible since it's just you and myself. Marmadashvili, I thought he was spectacular most of the night, but spectacular and not so spectacular. Nothing to do on the goal, really. He's spectacular at doing and not really having much to do. I guess you could say is what I was trying to say. I gave Marmadashvili a 6. What'd you give Marmadashvili?
7.
7. Okay. All right. Frimpong obviously was bright when he was on the pitch. I thought I was really, I saw what he was on the pitch to do. You know what I mean? That first run and him trying to really bring the width and really provide something going forward on the right side, especially when you don't have a Mohamed Salah in there. However, he was injured. I gave Frimpong a 6, unfortunately. Being nice, I guess, because of the hand injury. What do you want to give Frimpong? Since he is the starter, that's what.
I'll give him a 6, yeah. It's hard, isn't it? Like, what time was it when he come off?
19th minute. Yeah, tough. All right. I thought you had more to say, but okay. Tough. All right. Let's move on to Konaté. Shout out to Konaté. I've been very critical of him. I have been proposing getting Gomez in for him. I'm not shying away from that just yet, but he played well. The last 2 games, he's played pretty well. And he was obviously someone that put in a great goal off the set piece. Got some minutes to rest at the end of the game. I was surprised in seeing Gomez's name being called out. I guess you don't have Gravenberch to put in that role. So I gave Konaté an 8. What do you want to give him?
Yeah, 8 goals.
Okay. All right. He's going fast. You can put your own numbers in there too. Frimpong gave Frimpong a 6. Okay. Along with us. All right. Close to an 8 for Hylor. Looking like a serious footballer again, cool in possession and beyond aggressive in the challenge. I agree with that completely. Our captain, Virgil van Dijk, he had a captain's header, commanded both boxes. I'm going to give him, though, an 8. Very close to being a 9, but I give him an 8. Virgil van Dijk for you.
I'll give Virgil an 8. Everyone Virgil an 8.
Okay. Virgil gets an 8. All right. My left back, Robbo. Welcome upgrade, I think. I will call it that because he brought composure. He brought some real sense of trust. You could see in the left back to his counterpart in the left center half and our captain. He had I think possibly the best assist of the game. The assist to Ekitiké was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That was ridiculous.
Great ball.
Saw some good relentless. Saw a good engine on him, as in it didn't look like he was out of breath or was lagging or anything like that. Big up Robbo. I'm giving Robbo an 8.
Yeah, I'm going to give Robbo an 8 as well. It was a good performance, and he got us started with that pass for Hugo, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. I'll bring up your question in 1 second, Dustin. Let me when we get to Dom, I'll bring up your question. So what'd you give him?
8.
8. Okay, gave him 8.
Yeah.
Florian Wirtz, our number 7, aka our number 10. 2 assists, finally breaks out of that shadow that has been lingering over him without getting an assist or goal. Silky in tight spaces, confidence was unlocked unlocked against Frankfurt. I gave Florian Wirtz a 9. What did you want to give Florian Wirtz?
I'll give him an 8.
Okay. All right. No love for Florian Wirtz. No love. No, just joking.
Nah. Can't stand them on.
Hyler gave him an 8.34 or 8 3/4.
Yes, I'll say 8.5.
KJ saying like he'd give him an 8. You can give half.
85 out of 100.
You can give you know how our grading goes. You can give them 82s, 85s, whatever you want to do. 87. It's up to you. I'm just giving straight rounded off numbers. Wirtz got an 8 from Dustin. Robbo got an 8 as well. Okay, from KJ. I got you. How about for Dominic Szoboszlai? Player I recognize as being possibly the standard charter player of the year for us. Dominic Szoboszlai, conductor, finisher, near post corner assist, but had an absolute rocket of a goal. That thing had afterburners on it. Yeah. Was player of the match for the Carlsberg player of the match, was not the Champions League player of the match, but he was Liverpool 12th man or my player of the match. I was Liverpool 12th man show player of the match, but Dominic Szoboszlai gets a 9 from me. What are you giving Dominic?
Give him I'll give him a 9 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rancho supporter gave a 9. He was his man of the match. Hyler gives him a 9. Great goal for sure. It was a great goal. KJ's being modest with his ratings. 8.5 for Dom. Wow. Okay. All right. I got you. Curtis Jones. He grew into this game and never looked back. He was better at halftime. He was secure with the ball. He was like composed in traffic. Excellent game for him. I gave him an 8, but now I'm like leaning towards a 9 after all the numbers. Yeah, why not? I'll give him a 9. Why not?
I'll give Curtis an 8.
Curtis an 8? Okay.
Yeah.
Curtis got an 8.5 from Renault Tour supporter, 8.5 from Dustin, 8 from Hylor. KJ says, bar Szoboszlai, he's been our second most consistent midfielder, meaning Curtis Jones. And he was his man of the match. All right, how about Cody Gakpo? An assist and a goal. That's 5 straight games he's scored a GA for club and country. It's one of those things where it's like maybe he's a purple patch player for some, but this patch is looking violet as ever. So
goal and an assist, very good performance.
Yeah,
what we needed from him, and we got from him goal and assist, same as Dom. 8 for Cody.
8 for Cody. Okay. 8.5 from Gax. Bonkers gave him an 8.5. Hyler gave him an 8. All right. His best. It was his best game of the season so far, KJ says. Dustin gave him an 8. I'm being very nice now. All of a sudden, I've gotten into being like, I have my ratings down, but I'm being very nice. I've upticked it. I'm rounding up rather than rounding down. I'm gonna give Cody a 9. Agent Cody, you get a 9 from me. Isak, the way of the gack. Here you go. Isak, for you, what was Isak?
Alexander will give like a 6. I have to give him a 6.
Okay. Same here. 6. Too early looks, but and he had a couple of good stretching runs, but the fact that he left at halftime for groin issue really limited me being able to go over a 6. Oof, KJ gave Isak a 1. Wow. That hurts. KJ coming in hot. I got you. Isak got a 6 from Bonkers. Got a 6 from Hylor. The first chance he should have taken first time. He doesn't look fit. I agree with you on that. He doesn't, and he had plenty of time to look fit. That's the troubling thing. The troubling thing about it is he's had plenty of time to be fit. Plenty of time to get into into some rhythm, into some fitness rhythm as well, and we haven't seen it. And that's one of the more disappointing parts about it. All right, let's rock through these subs real quick. Bradley, I gave a 7. I was going to give a 6, but I gave him a 7. I don't think he had a bad game. I think Bradley came on and did well, considering he wasn't even probably expecting to play. What about you, Lee? Bradley?
We haven't done Hugo, have we?
Oh, no, we haven't. We haven't. I jumped to the subs.
Yeah. Hugo 9. Yeah, I'll give Hugo a 9.
I got to give Hugo a 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gave Hugo a 9, so. Ice cold. Ice cold! Ice cold, for sure. Constant menace, stakes a real claim. Hugo's got to get a 9. Let's see. It's KJ. What are you giving KJ? What are you giving Ekitiké? We'll see. See if he gives let's see if he gives he'll give him probably like a 8.5 or 8.3, 8.75 or something like that. What are you giving? He gave Hugo an 8. He went even lower. Oh wow. That's cold. What's cooler than being cold? Yeah, I know. What's cooler than being cool? Ice cold. There you go. He's gonna give Cody an 8.5. Oh wow. Would you take the half point from Hugo and give it to Cody? That's rough, brother. Rough. I thought Ekitiké had a good game. All right. Bradley got the 7. Chiesa, I'm giving a 7. What are you giving Chiesa?
Yeah, give Bradley and Chiesa a 7. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How about for McAllister?
Another 6.
You gave him a 6. I gave him originally a 6. I'm gonna be harsh with it and give him a 5. Maybe I'll give him a 6. I'll stick with the 6. Why not? Because you know why? I know someone else that I want to give a. I'll save my 5 rating for Salah. Unfortunately, I think Salah was just not. I'm taking a point away from Salah simply because you know what? He should have passed that ball. That was an absolute tap-in, by the way. For let me see if I think I have that photo. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find the photo for you. And I'm not trying to pile on, by the way, on Mohamed Salah. Not trying to do that. But give me 1 second. Hold on, I know I have it. I know I took a screenshot of it. You've got to see this. It was unexcusable. Unexcusable. I thought it was on here. Oh, I know where it's at. My fault. Give me a second. I know I have it. It didn't come up. Shoot. So I don't see it on here either. I see Salah's screen print of his thing. This was what Salah's Twitter looks like now. Let's say that. Where is this one? I know I took a picture of it. It was really, really poor. Like how wide open he was for it. I think I'm where I'm going to put it.
8 o'clock in at the Brentford game. 8 o'clock kickoff. A little bit different for the Saturday, and something different. It shows the next game as well, I think, against Villa. I think that's 8 o'clock kickoff too. So we got two Saturday 8 o'clock kickoffs. New and exciting for a Saturday.
New and exciting times. Let me see if I can find the picture. It was bad. It was pretty bad. KJ says he thinks the social media thing is being made out worse than it is. I hope it is. I hope that you're completely right about that. Because it's ridiculously childish if it's true that he's trying to make his message clear by unfollowing the team and doing stuff like that. Let me see. Where is it? Okay, here it is. I'm going to show you this image, and it was pretty bad. Appreciate everyone holding off. I thought I had it on there, but I guess I didn't have it on there. So I'm going to show you this picture. Hopefully I can show you this. Oh, here it is. Got it. All right. So this is what I mean. This is what Salah saw when he got into the game. If he just squares the ball to Wirtz, that's a tap in. It's a tap in. And he ended up taking it and shooting and missing.
I suppose I don't blame him for taking the shot on. He could have done it with his left foot, couldn't he? He could have let it run on a little bit and then just put it away from the keeper for Wirtz rather on a plate. But he hasn't scored in a bit, so you can't blame him for wanting to score. He is a forward. I know it looks bad on that picture. It looks bad.
Making excuses, brother. Go ahead. Keep making them. Keep making those excuses. You're more than welcome, man. That's just bad. That's something you shouldn't do. He's normally a team player. That's why I'm disappointed in him like that. That's all I'm trying to get across. And that's all we're saying.
It'll all work out in the end. It'll all work out in the end, though. We still have belief in you. Still family. You're always a Red. But
whatever. Yeah, so we do have some fixtures coming up. Brentford, Palace. Brentford's the away fixture coming up. Then we have Palace right after that, which is the home game, which is a League Cup game. Then we have Real Madrid, which is the return of Trent Alexander-Arnold to Anfield. That's a Champions League game. That's going to be huge. Then we have Manchester City at the Etihad. It's going to be another huge, huge game. One big European night doesn't erase a month of BS, which is what we've just gone through, but it can seed a run, hopefully. And if it seeds a run that produces 5 straight games. So Brentford, Palace, Villa, Real, and City. If this can seed 5 W's, I'll be happy. This could be the seed that produces 5 W's for us, then I'll be happy. The test now is a repetition under different weather, low blocks, long balls, elite counters, standards, same standards, new contexts, but it's going to be certainly higher expectations because we have some real competition ahead of us. So it should be something that we'll have to deal with and look forward to when it happens. But we're past the 90th minute. Crystal Palace has lost, by the way, to in their Conference League game, because that's what they're in the conference. They're not even in.
Yeah, they are. Who did they lose to?
It's AEK, so I'm assuming it's a Greek team.
Yeah, AEK Athens. Yeah. Well,
no, it's AEK Lamaka.
Larnaca, yeah. They're another Greek team, yeah. Mate, didn't think they'd get beat. Suppose they were away, were they? Were they in Greece?
Cyprus.
Oh, Cyprus, yeah, Larnaca. Hey, that's quite a shock that I thought Palace would win. I didn't know who they were playing, to be honest. So they've got a bit to do, haven't they, to rectify this?
Got a bunch to do, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Look, I'm hoping tonight wasn't just catharsis. I hope it was you able to craft some real narratives that you can take with you to some of the chats I'm sure you're going to be a part of, where you're going to have people going at you for, oh, it's only one game, or oh, Frankfurt sucks, or let's see what they can do in the Premier League. Look, set pieces with venom, midfield with clarity, forwards with intent. That's a good foundation to build off of. Ekitiké was absolutely phenomenal. Wirtz looks connected and hopefully ready to rock and roll. Dom's just Dom being a boss like he usually is. The captain's goal with his counterpart next to him as well, putting in some corners, from some set pieces. Hopefully we can get some of those to connect to, this weekend as well. Drop your Brentford 11 if you can in the comments. Would love to see them. We're going to do a preview show tomorrow. Who keeps the shirt is basically should be the title for tomorrow's episode, basically, because we're going to look at a team that who knows who Arnie's going to choose to go into Saturday, because he's going to be choosing for a whole myriad of different reasons as to why this player might get a choice and that player is not going to get a choice, whether they've earned it or whether it's just a matter of fitness or the likes. But speaking of likes, please do like, subscribe, and as always, bring a red along with you when you do. And Lee, is there anything you want to say to people before we rock and roll out of here?
Just thanks everyone for your comments and contributions. Thanks for being here, and onwards and upwards. Hopefully now get back to league matters on Saturday, but at least we've had a good result to be going on with. Should give the players a bit more confidence than what we've seen in recent weeks. Hopefully we can take it on from here.
Absolutely. All right, mon frères and monsoeurs. I am going to say peace And I'm also going to say I hope that everyone is well and blessed and continues to be so. If you can, definitely give a shout, give a little subscribe to my brother here, KJ. I'm going to bring up his page real quick. Shout out to KJ. Definitely content soon in the landing process, but he's already gotten, look at this guy. He's already gotten almost 100 views already. He's only dropped it 18 hours ago. This guy's bound to be a superstar. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Shout out to KJ. So definitely big up to each and every one of you. Do your thing today. Enjoy your time. Whether it's evening, afternoon, morning, whichever it is. Hope to see you tomorrow for our preview. Big game Saturday, people. Big game. So recognize. Please do show some love and join us tomorrow for the preview. We'll talk to you soon, and peace.